real life real estate issues that we can resolve. And 3 years ago in Atlanta, Georgia, I had the opportunity to sit next to a gentleman by the name of Mike Bjorkman, who every time a question was asked, he knew the answer. And it was like someone had given him the sheet. And I kept looking over, and there was nothing written down, and everything just came right out of his head. And I was just amazed at just how he seemed to know everything. And I took a boatload of notes, and Mike, believe it or not, I actually have some of my notes from that day. And it's amazing how some of those things, the clarity of what happened there, that it's just come to fruition for me. So, I mean, you remember being in Atlanta? I mean, Long was there. There was a
I remember really, that was our first little mastermind that we did, and then we had the sync training after that. That was a blast, man. I remember that well, and it was awesome to meet you and get to know you and get to know your heart and your intentions. And we've been friends ever since, man. I've been super excited about it.
I appreciate Michael Hellickson putting a lot of that stuff together, because I mean, the friendships that were created in there are really, really powerful. I mean, from Brian Curtis, Jesse Zagorski, David Serpa, I mean, Long and Mike. I mean, there was a lot of great people in there. And then Doug Holliday. I mean, it was a fantastic room. I'm forgetting people, but I'm just trying to rattle them off the top of my head. So
yeah, that was an awesome group.
One of the things that I had written down here, which I thought was really neat, is you told the story of a cardboard cutout. And let's see if you remember this. And your story was about you would when you had a home under contract, you would put this cardboard cutout next to the sign, and you would leave it there so that when the home sold and closed escrow, the homeowners would take the sign out of the yard, and you would say, just put it in your garage. I'll come back and pick it up. And then you would just magically forget the sign, and your mug was in their garage for 6 months. And they were always thinking about you every time they pulled into the garage. So do you remember that story?
Yeah, I do actually. And there's I think we got a little bit of that. There's two things I did. So the custom cardboard cutout, which I highly recommend. And now this was 20 years ago or more. Back then, there was very many people that could die cut cardboard like that. So I paid a place that used to actually do movie, like if you go into movie theaters and see those big cutouts there. So I paid a place in Hollywood to do that. And I would say the buyer of this home, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, was represented by Mike Bjorkman, welcomed them to the neighborhood. And it was like me holding a thing, and that thing could be cut out, and it could be a perfectly good square. So if they didn't like that, I'd tell them to cut that out. But most of the time, I'd say, if you did this, if you let me put this in your yard, if I think it was like 10 or 14 days, I will actually buy your home warranty or pay for your home inspection, whatever it was back then. And they'd be like, sure, no problem. And it was kind of fun. And of course, the kids would write, mustaches and glasses on me and swastikas on my forehead, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was hilarious, but it was a big thing, right? And it was always in the newspaper, and people would say, oh, another one. I wish there was social media back then. And then back then I was the very first person also to do custom signs. So the custom signs would have a picture of their house, it would have the picture of the backyard or whatever was influential about the home that you couldn't see from the front, and it would add information.
Right.
And then that's the sign I would say, I'll come pick up the sign, just put it in your garage for now. And that's the one that I'd give the buyers that they would actually screw onto their garage walls, which still today, once in a while, somebody will send me a text or a Facebook message from 20 years ago, me when I was 20 years old, almost. And then they would put that in there, and then, they'd leave it in their garage. And sometimes people don't sell for that long. So my whole thing was do things that other agents can't or won't as far as marketing, right? So I was always trying to think outside the box. I was a great big Craig Proctor guy. So my ideas were always spinning in my mind. How can I make an impact where I tell my agents to this day, what are you doing to be memorable? Like, what are you doing at an open house to be memorable? What in the world are you doing to make people talk about you or remember you, right? So that's what that was all about.
20 years you've brought all this stuff together. You've been doing all these things. You've obviously become very memorable to people. So what's been your migration today? What's your big, you've always been the mayor of Santa Clarita. You're involved in a lot of different charities and things. You have vans with your name printed on them that drive all over town. You give that stuff away. You're very charitable. I mean, what's your most memorable thing that you're doing today for your community?
I think today is our community involvement. My wife and I are very involved in a couple of main charities. The biggest one is Boys and Girls Club. We're going to chair the auction June 1st. It's the biggest the biggest fundraiser for Boys and Girls Club. I do that a lot, things like that. The moving van is a great, and all these things are old school, but they still work today. The moving van's always out on the streets. We don't let our clients use it. It's not for our clients. It's for churches, chamber, charity, and that's it. So if what I found out was our clients were ruining it, they're like, oh, that guy just made 10 grand off me, so screw him. And they'd leave it empty or run red lights, or I'd find yellow paint all over my bumpers. But the charities always fill it up with gas. They clean it, and they're very responsible. So it makes a big deal to them. It makes a big deal to me. I always get a table out of it up front in the auctions. And, I just do memorable things. I try to do everything big. So if I go to an event, I'm speaking at the event, like a charity event, or I'm the MC for the event, or I'm the main sponsor for the event. I just don't want to be the normal person sitting in the audience not being memorable. I want to walk into a room, people know who it is when they walk into the room, and then they see me or hear me do something that most people can't or won't do. And then that's what buys brain cells, right? So I'm a big brain cell buyer.
Yeah. Well, you bought a lot of them. There's no doubt about it. So for a new agent that's on a budget, so you're growing a dynamic group of agents there in California, and you have the opportunity to also grow your team across the United States, which has become very powerful. And so one of the benefits of our company. But now you're teaching agents to kind of replicate what your 20 plus years of success has been. When you've got agents that are on a budget, what do you suggest to those guys to say, listen, get started here? How do they go out? Is it social media? What's the presence?
That's a great question. I coach agents all over the country, and that is the number one asked question, and I love to make the answer. So my three things that I tell agents to do is community outreach, social media, and open houses. If you do those three things, you don't need to worry about anything else as long as you live. That's it, period. That'll make you $1 million a year if you do those three things right.
Well, I remember on one of your conversations, you talked about hitting those success goals, and you broke it down to real simple. Talk to 50 people every single day. 50
people a day will make you $1 million a day, or $1 million a year, period.
Year, right?
Yeah, and don't go to sleep without talking to 50 people if you want to sell 100 homes a year.
And you don't have to talk to 50 people at 50 separate times. Right.
I mean, I the only thing I consider talking to people is a Facebook message that was responded to, or an actual conversation. That's it. So I don't go to bed unless I talk to 50 people every single day. That's all there is to it.
Is your conversation Facebook message? Is it dials? Is it just, hey, I'm running into you in the street. Hey, how's it going? Shaking a hand.
Right.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So you can keep a little clicker on your phone. You could just do it in your notes, a hashtag or whatever, or a slash, and then you cross it off like when we were little and we kept score. Basically, if I'm out on the streets, if I'm at an event, like tonight we have the VIP preview party for the Boys and Girls Club. So I'll talk to 20 people there. I've already talked to probably 50 people this morning. I probably talked to 20 before 6 a.m. this morning because a lot of my people are on the East Coast, right? So we should probably talk a little bit about what I do. Yeah, I run Team Bjorkman with my partner Tammy. She's awesome. But, we're also building our EXP organization, right? So that's very important to me. But my passion is to coach, lead, and train agents better than their current broker situation. So I have to segregate my company. The fourth thing that's really important that I don't talk about a lot, because a lot of people aren't allowed to do it, is property management. That's another one of my claim to fame. So between property management, coaching agents, running the real estate team, so all I want to do is talk to anywhere from 50 to 100 people a day between all three of those. But if I'm selling homes full time and that's all I want to do, I want to talk to people. I don't even want to talk to them about real estate. I just want to talk to them. I just want to be in their mind, right? And that's what I love so much about technology today. I can be in front of people breakfast, lunch, and dinner with remarketing campaigns, whether it's through Ylopo or doing it your own. So I just want to be, if real estate pops in their mind, I want to be the guy they go, oh, Mike Bjorkman, period. So anything I could do to get in front of their face and have a conversation. The big thing right now is AI, artificial intelligence. and automation, but I want to do it authentically, right? Like, authenticity is such a thing now that it's so important. So I'm trying to be really real and transparent with people. And if there's no way to sound automated, I'm going to tell them, hey, you're talking to my bot right now, but this sucks. I'd rather talk to you. Call me, tell me what's going on. Hey, I want to make sure you're on my Christmas card list. Make sure I have your address. I was driving in your neighborhood the other day in Santa Clarita, and I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I cared about you and I thought about you. Just little stupid things that make a difference that's real. I never want to sound like a robot, right? Hi, I'm Mike. When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived here? If you were to move, I don't want those scripts. I don't want to sound scripted. Everything I do is a script and a dialogue, but I just can't sound like that, if that makes sense.
There's a couple things that you said there I thought were pretty sweet. One is the Christmas card list. I think just kind of came to mind, as an opportunity for people is to imagine putting on social media that's asked the question, hey, I'm updating my Christmas card list. Can you send me a Whoops, I lost you. Whoa. So, imagine putting on social media.
Yeah, you're totally fuzzy, by the way, on my camera. Hey, Deanna, can you make sure you're on 5 and not 2.4?
Yeah, I am.
All right, and it might be your connection, Rick, so just real quick, let's check that out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're having a crawfish party here coming up, so we're doing a big realtor deal after this, so let's have a nice night of some crawfish. But, you're going back to the main question I was talking about was the Christmas card deal you mentioned in there. Going back to some of the newer agents that are kind of getting started, imagine them posting something on social media that basically says, hey, I'd love to put you on my Christmas card list. Would you please send me a private message? So no one's putting something out in their deal, but just send me your information. And I bet you, a good percentage of people that read that will do it because everybody wants a Christmas card.
Yeah. I mean, just today, I don't know if you could see this in the camera on my phone. It's a guy. Yeah. So this is today, and I'm not even kidding you. I screenshotted it for my team. So it's a guy named Dusty. He's a salesperson for Key Renter. Shout out to Key Renter, by the way. But out of the blue, I got a text that says, hey, I'm updating my contact info. I've challenged myself to be more conscious of my friends and business colleagues' info. What's your birthday and address, please? So I gave him, simple. Dude, I gave him my birthday. I gave him my home address, and I said, smart guy. And I'm going to send this to my team, and I'm going to share it on my EXP Pros Facebook group because it's not a big deal. It came through. I wasn't offended. It didn't bother me. I gave him the information. The dude now can send me birthday cards. He can send me Christmas cards. He can do all kinds of things. Like, that's a big deal. And people go, oh, I don't want to get impersonal. I met the guy one time.
Hey, listen, our survival counts on us being personal today.
Yeah.
I think him doing that is going to separate him from everybody else who are afraid to do that simple thing.
Right. So, people say, what's the secret to success? Go knock on a door. No kidding. You're going to literally go interrupt a husband and wife fighting, somebody changing a diaper. Who knows what people are doing. You're going to knock on their door, but you won't send them a text or a Facebook message. Give me a break. So I don't know, man. So yeah, do things that other agents can or won't, right? So continue down that path and go crazy.
Yep. So you've been building something pretty special. So you've gone from a couple of brokerages. I met you when you were starting your Home Smart franchises, and it was fun to watch you build that. You've now migrated over to EXP.
Yep.
What was one of the things when you were on a webinar earlier, and this guy talked about all of the things that he had done through his career, and he just knew that there was another level. There's another level. Let me conquer this. And ironically, you've done that. You've been in sales, you've been in management, you've been in leadership, and now you've run your own brokerages. How did you know when you were ready for the next step?
Again, another great question. 28 years in this business, I've been there, done that, and I actually. I guess I could say I coach her, a very close friend of mine in Philadelphia, and she's at this stage where all agents get to. We get pretty good, right? We're selling 50, 60 homes a year. We get kind of burnt out on real estate. There must be another level, right? There must be something else more to my life. And the natural progression is for a real estate agent to go open a brokerage, be a broker owner. It just seems like I know everything. I should get a piece of everything. And a lot of us like to coach and train agents, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I thought that's what I wanted. And I bought the HomeSmart franchise. I had a blast. I love the company to this day. The people, the systems. I love the company, right? But there's just something about being a broker owner where you bring in tons of liability. You bring in tons of people that you necessarily wouldn't work with on a daily basis, or you wouldn't want to. So people that you don't want to be with, you can't learn from, you can't laugh with, and you just don't want to take them to lunch. These are the people that you end up hiring out of desperation because you need to keep the lights on. So I built this company to 300 agents, 4 offices, and I was more concerned about alarms and copy machines and rent increases and agents where they're going. It was a terrible thing. Being a broker owner is no joke, right? You turn into a full-time babysitter, and broker says you're broke. Today, to compete successfully, like you can't compete with EXPs. Like, as soon as I saw EXP, I knew I'd go out of business in the next couple of years. And, I'm watching companies around me, and I'm watching that happen because the future of real estate is my specialty. I'm always looking around the corner. What's the next better thing? Where's the industry going, right? So I loved being a broker owner, but I hated it at the same time because it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't what I got in real estate for. So what I wanted to do is go back to running my teamerage, which is a team within a brokerage, do things that I forgot that I loved, right? I thought I didn't like working with sellers anymore. I thought I didn't like working with buyers, but I found out quickly that, holy crap, that's a lot better than working with agents that you don't like and don't respect and like you. And they want to blame their non-success on everything you do, say your office, your fees, whatever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So every day I woke up at a brokerage and I got to hear people's crap, their lawsuits, their misery, their, how they're failing, why it's my fault and not theirs because they won't pick up the phone. To now, I get to share in success with people that I only fit with, I only work with. Right? Whether it's my team or whether it's my client base or whether it's my property management company, more importantly, my organization that we've built through EXP, which is national. I get to handpick people that I love, right? Everywhere from Florida to Philadelphia to Iowa to Phoenix to Seattle, we have good friends everywhere. That's what I like. I like to be happy, and I tell agents all the time, I told her this morning, she goes, I'm getting burnt out. I don't like this. I said, pick the 5 damn things that you love. Focus only on those 5 things and delegate the rest. I said, what do you really love to do? She says, I love to hire agents on my team. Cool. Recruit crazy on your team. I love to train them. Cool, train them. I love to travel and learn ideas and how to build ideas with people like you. I said, cool, so join all the masterminds that I'm part of, delegate everything else. So I said, if we could take all that pain away from you, would you be okay with that? And she's like, yeah, and then I'd be fine. And I'm like, okay, well, just do the things you love, and that's what I tell agents to do. Pick 3 things that you love. Pick 3 things, whether it's working with attorneys, whether it's working with for sale by owners or expireds or whatever. Pick 3 that you love and do that, delegate the rest. And you will forever be happy and make changes as needed, right? Like, I didn't like social media at first. I thought, MySpace was going to be the death of all teenagers. I swore that I would never be on Facebook. A week later, I was on Facebook. A week after that, I got my first listing or 2 from it. And I'm like, I love Facebook, right? Like, holy crap. So I adapted. I switched everything I was doing to social media. And now I could nurture and be part of community events and community outreach and charity, but I could nurture all that through social media. Now I could literally sit in my underwear and talk to 50 people that like to do it via Facebook Messenger instead of calling them and bugging them and all these other things. I could get a full day's worth of work in my underwear on social media, right? And I'm like, wow. So this is so cool. And now my whole business I could do in my underwear if I wanted to.
I know. Well, I remember some of the first webinars, you were in your closet. And so we would always encourage you to never stand up because you had a shirt on, but it was like, don't stand up during the course of the webinar. So, it's interesting when you talk about the opportunities that social media has provided and stuff. And, Facebook to me is just interactive websites. You know, it's how we share. It's how people find out about us. You know, and all along we were spending all of this money on website technology and hoping that someone would go to it and read about us and everything else. Now we've got a daily journal that someone can scroll through our timeline and look back 5 or 6 years or 7 years or 9 years ago, possibly when you first got started on it, and they can discover who you are more effectively than they can on a website that says, "Hi, I'm Mike Bjorkman. I sell homes in Santa Clarita. Call me for your home evaluation." You know, so it's more real.
Websites are purely a business card online. So when somebody Googles you, they can find you. Your Facebook wall is basically a resume because people are going to stalk you before they hire you. Like I'm hiring an assistant right now, and I've turned down probably 30, maybe 40 resumes, people based on their Facebook. Just the crap they put out there to the public. I just throw their resume, delete. So then the private messages is a way to effectively door knock. Facebook ads is a way to do very inexpensive mailers. Like, dude, social media is everything right now, right? You can do it so cheap and expensive and efficient and create a stellar or a non-stellar reputation based on how you think about it. That's why I have so much social media training on my YouTube and podcasts and all that stuff, because it's a big deal, right? There's no way. Like just last night, a girl goes, "Hey, I can't stand my realtor. I can't get my house sold. She overpriced it, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "I get this call all the time." And I go, "Tell me about your marketing." We went through that. And then she goes, "And then I saw her Facebook. I don't think she ever worked. I don't believe in what this and that." And she started getting into sex, religion, and politics. I'm like, whoa, okay. So there's proof in the pudding that you can't do that. But she actually said, "I've been looking at your Facebook all day. I'm super impressed. I look at your business pages and I've looked at your profile for your personal business page." And she's all, "I love everything you're doing and I've never seen another agent do it. I've looked at your websites. I've looked at all this." So basically I was interviewed for the job and didn't know it. Again, while I was in my underwear, right? So that's a big deal. Really big deal. I know we didn't mean to go this direction. I'm sorry, but I guess it just kind of.
No, well, I mean, it just goes to it dives into the marketing and branding side of things. What are we doing to tell stories? And if I remember, at some point in time, and I think we were sitting in Anaheim, and you made the comment that it's not about the social likes, although that's important. But you said having something you believe in, it's kind of like you from pet rescues, right? Like you could post something and obviously there's a lot of people that love that. But if you're passionate about something, share it. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people that someone can scroll through that and see it. And that becomes very important to that one person. So, it's not about focusing on what's going to be the viral post, but just continue to be yourself, right?
Yeah. Be yourself, be authentic. Some people won't like you for very specific things. Like if you're a cat lover, you might not like me because I'm a dog lover and I like to rescue dogs, right? So, but it's not about quantity necessarily as it is quality. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to appeal to 90% of the population. I know 10% is going to hate me no matter what I do or say. So as long as I have 9 out of 10 people like me, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's the people that focus intently and too much on something, whether it's sex, religion, politics on their online or social media, you're going to have 9 out of 10 people hate you. And those people that love you are going to be, disciples, but I'm not interested in selling 1 home a year. I want to sell 100 homes a year. You know what I mean? So I try to keep everything very strategic and very transparent, and I just keep things that shouldn't be on social media on there. And sometimes I will get blasted by my peers, my partner, my family for some things that I'm that passionate about, but I actually ask myself 2 or 3 times, are you sure you want the public to see this? Are you 100% that passionate that you could lose a client over this? And if the answer is yes, I go full steam ahead. So, but it's very rare. And sometimes I think people like a little bit of, just a little bit of wow, like, whoa, that was insane. I've never seen you do that before. And then the people that are going to hate are probably going to hate anyways. And typically they're just jealous realtors anyways. So, the rumors that go around about me are pretty crazy. And it's all started by my competition. And I don't care. I love them and I'd like to hire them and coach and help them. And when the day's right, they'll come to me.
Yep, absolutely. Well, just out of curiosity, you've got some cool things happening, but what are you most excited about? What gets you going in the mornings? What do you the next 24 months? I mean, what do you see our industry doing? What's next Mike look like?
And that's a good question. And I apologize that we're going to turn this into an EXP thing, but I am so passionate about our company right now. The things that we have going on at EXP are amazing. I get to do what I love, right? I get to hang out with people like you. You're in freaking Texas, and I get to talk to you all the time. I like to help agents understand the future of real estate. I want to bring them into our family. Agent ownership's a really big deal. Revenue share is an exit plan, a 401k, if you will, for real estate. I call myself a born-again realtor. Not a, you hear born-again Christian, but I'm really a born-again realtor too, because I'm excited to get up in the morning and I actually practice the law of attraction. I actually think and say things out loud about what I'm grateful for before my feet hit the floor. And it takes a lot to be in a position like that. And so now I'm doing the things I love. I'm helping people across the country, because before real estate was so local, I could only help and hire agents in my town to benefit financially off them. But now I can help people all over the country, which I love. I like making people aware of the changes in our industry, and we could go spend hours on the changes of the landscape. Our realtors going to end up like travel agents. What websites are going to put us out of business? Are the auction sites going to put us out of the business? Redfin wants us gone. All these people want us gone. How are we going to combat that? How are we going to stick together? And what our company's doing right now is everything necessary to keep agents in business, feeding them a crud ton of leads, or the opportunity to do at least. Like I said, the stock, the ownership, the revenue share, and then, most importantly, the cloud base. We can do anything, anytime, anywhere, from anywhere in the world. And it's so efficient. Things that used to take me hours to do, go to the office, wait to talk to a broker, an admin, blah, 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 blah. Again, now I can do everything from my home before 9 a.m. in the morning. And all that allows me to do is talk to more people about real estate. Whether you want to buy, sell, rent, invest, join a cool company, join my team, all of those things I like to talk about. And our company allows me to do that. But efficiency is the one thing people don't talk about enough is efficiency, right? Like driving to an office back and forth is a half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour of your day. Running into people at your office that are your competition, that don't like you, that are going to talk bad about you when you turn your back, that's going to suck up another hour of your day, right? Dealing with inefficiency within a small brokerage, maybe an independent or even a franchise, where one person calls in sick, your life's over because now you can't get paid, or all these inefficiencies in real estate are time sucks. So if I can focus on what makes me money and not what doesn't, that's a big deal, because now God has given me an extra 2-3 hours a day that I never had before. So although I run 4 or 5 different companies at any given time, I can do it more efficiently now. And that's cool. Some people just want to sell real estate, and I get that. More power to you, and I want to help you do that. And the more money you guys make, the more money everybody makes. And that's the way I look at it. And I love to help people avoid mistakes and bypass all the hurdles that I had to make. So I get it. If that's all you do is sell real estate, then awesome. Well, how can I help you do more of that? And that's what fires me up every day, because the more people that are successful, the more our industry is going to stay around, the more we combat these other companies. Like EXP is growing so big and so fast, I believe in 2 years, we'll be able to afford to buy Zillow, buy Redfin, buy anybody that we want, or compete successfully to blow them out of the water with technology and the things that we can do. Because when all the agents ban as one, that's powerful. But when all these independent brokers and brokerages, even within a small town, they fight each other, they hate each other, they're jealous of each other, and that creates animosity in a small geographical area. Meanwhile, Zillow and Redfin are national companies that are just taking over 40%, 30% growth year over year, and these little brokerages are shrinking because all they're doing is working out of a fear-based situation. So it's just crazy to me. So if I can help us grow and be as one, that's what I want to do.
Well, you brought up a pretty good point there, and it's something that I feel has been driven more because of social media and the availability of outreach. You've had more people feel the urge to go and create their own brokerage because of the so-called bolt-on technology that they can buy, right? I can go buy internet leads. I can go do something. So if I'm a skilled enough individual, I can go be a broker owner. And here's been my challenge to some of those guys as well is that, okay, so you want to just go create a brokerage that's just focused on real estate? And they'll say yes. And I'm going, well, who's going to help you do that? And they'll go, well, we're going to partner up with agents. And so, I said, how many agents would you like to have in your brokerage? And they said, well, in order for me to have the kind of brokerage I'd like to have, maybe it's a small guy. I just want 10, I want 15. And then you're going to find some that are going to go into a HomeSmart style type franchise that say, I need 150 to be a team leader to be successful. Well, guess what? You've now added another avenue of your daily task, and that's attracting people. It's, whether you want to use the word attraction or recruiting, you have to get up every day as the broker, the boutique, and say, I want to be successful, and I may get 100% of my stuff, but you're still spending out a bunch of stuff for other things. And I would challenge the local guy who is busy focusing on his 10 agents that wants to sell, $50 to $100 million a year in that brokerage. What is the possibility for that group to build through friends, relationships, contacts around the country, a borderless boundary that it just goes across the United States? Mm-hmm. They can do so much more and impact more people, and in turn create this dynamic machine that can go out and compete with the Zillows and the Redfins.
Yeah,
the boutique, it's crazy.
The boutique, independent, and franchises cannot survive. The attrition rate is huge. There is always another company coming along with the new best thing, right? There's always another company in town that's going to offer a better split, more technology, more training, more something. The independent brokerage cannot compete. I mean, I had a awesome training program. I had awesome fees to the agents. I had it all. I mean, brick and mortar. We had all these things, but it didn't matter. The agents, the attrition rate, I couldn't keep up with. Full-time recruiters calling hundreds of people a day. So the boutique brokerage or the broker owner, that's all they can focus on is recruiting in order to survive, because there's always somebody laying awake last night staring at the ceiling saying, how am I going to tell my broker I'm gone? So it's a constant thing of recruiting. It's the only way for them to stay successful. And at some point, their pool of people or agents dwindles down to nothing. So once that happens, and I'm watching it in my town right now, I'm watching a very large franchise that's been successful for 25 years out here, went from 400 to 300 to 200, to 100 agents now. And I'm just watching this broker owner just go by like he's just getting eaten alive. And I'm like, dude, are you like crazy? Like, come talk to me about this. And other people, but it doesn't matter.
So why do you think, what's keeping him from that? Why do you feel like, is it an ego scenario? I mean, what's the thing? Because
it's once you build, like I had 300 agents, I had 4 offices. People wouldn't even talk to me about anything else because they're like, he is so in it. Like these dudes have 5, 7, 10-year leases. They have tons of employees and people relying on them, and they think their company or their franchise or themselves is going to turn it all around. It's just the market. It's just something, but they're not willing to admit they're being defeated and times are changing. This particular broker owner is wealthy as you can get, so I'm sure he doesn't care because he's done great with investments over the last 20 years. But, I guess some people are just going to watch it burn in flames and some people don't care. But, a lot of people, what they're doing is they're just shutting down their brick and mortar and trying to cut costs to compete with EXP and a couple other companies. But the reality is you're still not going to compete with the training. You're still not going to compete with the technology, still not going to compete with the stock and you just can't compete. So I just, why fight it?
So what do you think? What do you think is the most important retention tool that EXP has today?
Oh gosh, and people ask me that question all the time too. And I honestly want to say the support is number one. Having 400 employees at your fingertip is powerful. Like within seconds, you can get answers, right? The efficiency and the support is mind-blowing. And then I'm going to say the technology and training. Like we have the technology that nobody else has, the marketing and the training to implement and execute that. It's everything an agent really needs to be successful. the I hate to use the KW culture word, but our culture is real. Like, it's hugs, not handshakes, all day, every day. Like, I am talking to people like you across the country. It's not lonely, right? I thought maybe it'll be lonely with a cloud-based brokerage. No, I don't get to talk to the same 20 people every day. I get to talk to hundreds of rock stars, and you even have the sign behind you to prove it. Like, I talk to absolute rock stars all day, every day. And then I think after that would be the financial aspect, which would be, in a lot of people's opinions, or maybe the stereotype or what people say, is we're going after the financial part first. Yes, EXP does have the most profitable compensation program in the industry, I believe. I really truly believe that. Brent Gove and people will say there is there's cheaper companies, less expensive companies, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that statement. So our compensation model for the agents is ridiculously fair. If not, I work at a company for free and I absolutely love it. But the reality is, I think the compensation with revenue share and stock is probably the last of our 4 pillars that the agents really stay for. Which is hard to say, and it took me 10 months of being at this company to actually see it, because I'm such a money-driven guy. I love money. I like to see money. I want to see my fruit of my efforts pay off. But did that come out right? Whatever. But I think honestly, the agents love the support and the training, and then the compensation, and then finally the chance to make money. I really do believe that, and I think everything that's ever been broken in real estate we fixed. And the agents can now work comfortably and confident that they have all the tools and technology to go into the next generation of real estate. There you are.
Yep. Well, interesting that you talk about the things, and it's a very similar thought process for me. So I'm approaching my second year in EXP. And so congratulations, you and I made Icon in the same month, and so that was your first, and so it was mine and Vanessa that hit our second year, and so it's a $32,000 pocket of stock that is the unknown, right? That's the retention piece in all this. Let's go out and sell for an independent agent. Go out and sell roughly 30 some odd homes a year, which shouldn't be that difficult for an agent who's going to dive into this and make it a full-time position, but 10 years in the industry, to have somebody say, Mike, here's $160,000 for being a part of our company. And guess what? That is now worth whatever it may be. There's somebody that said it may not be worth anything, but it's still more than what I've got with any other opportunity. So we've been doing things that other agents aren't doing. You spoke about that, as in we're investing 5% of our commissions. With that money and everything involved today, we have 6-figure portfolio within EXP based on today's trading prices. It's not me fictitiously making up a number. Mm-hmm. So here I am 2 years into this, and there's $100,000 plus. Now I do this for 10 years. I'm now at whatever number that might be. I'm getting to my goal faster here. Doesn't mean I couldn't get it somewhere else. It just means I'm able to do it quicker. And I think sometimes it's very difficult to get people out of that comfortable spot to recognize that there is a bigger opportunity out there. So
if you're going to go down that path, I'll say it. And I love to say this, because in 10 months at this company, I have more money in stock at EXP than I was legally allowed to put in my 401k last year. And there's a lot to be said about that, right? That's a big freaking deal. And people say, well, what if it goes down to nothing? I don't care if it goes down to $1. It's still a lot more than I ever had at Remax or KW or HomeSmart. It's real, and it's real money, and I'm okay. And people say, oh, we have to let it sit there for 3 years to let most of it vest. Well, go get a job at Walmart. Go get a job at IBM or Google. It's a 3-year vesting period too. Oh, by the way, KW is a 3-year vesting period as well. Like, it's normal. That's called business. And I'm okay with that. And you're right. The 5% at 20% discount, the agent equity program, it's kind of a big deal to me, because I don't really necessarily notice 5% go away. And quite honestly, I've already got it back in rev share. Like, I have 300 agents and I'm participating in all that, and they're still living their best life. So I'm good with all of it. So I know you didn't want to talk about recruiting, and I know that it always goes down this path. Is there anything that you can get out of me before we go? Anything you think I can help your viewers or your tribe, if you will? What do you want out of me that I could change somebody's day or business?
Well, one of the things that I've always been impressed about is that you are very gifted when it comes to scripts. And I think that when you are teaching classes and you're having those conversations with people, it's knowing what to say. How important is knowing what to say to who you're talking to? I mean, why you've always placed that at a high importance. So,
right.
I mean,
Well, you can prospect all day, every day, buy every lead in the world, but if you don't know what to say to them, you're screwed. They're just going to move on, right? So real estate's a little pie in the sky, right? You got to say, okay, if there's 4 quadrants, you have to get the lead, you have to work at getting the lead, and you have to practice the scripts and dialogues so you know what to say, and then you have to be able to implement your systems and technology, right? So if somebody calls me and says, hey, Mike, I'm thinking of selling my home, and I just go, I don't know what to say, they're not going to hire me. So why? Like, I have agents on my team and around me all the time that they'll call 100 people a day but won't set an appointment. And then I have some people on the team that'll call 5 people and set 2 appointments, right? So it was scripts and dialogues. People don't like those words. I don't know what else to call them. Just knowing what to say and when to say, maybe that's better. But that's the reality. And what I love, what you just said, is you're very gifted with it. I promise to God, I am not gifted. It's hard work and practice. I practice. I teach my agents, an hour a day of skill set every day. And an hour a day of skill set is not just about learning your CRM or learning how to work the MLS or do a pretty marketing flyer. It's freaking scripts and dialogues. It's role playing with your team, and it's making a really big difference.
Tell me because I love this. Tell me your 6-hour day.
So the 8-hour day. So it's
you got 2 more in there. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk about what's worked for me over the last 25 plus years, and it's a very simple formula. It's 1 hour a day of self-help, 1 hour a day of skill set, and be very careful not to confuse the two, because self-help is something about your mind, body, and soul, and skill set's something that's going to make your craft better. You're going to sell more houses because of it. They kind of go hand in hand, but I'd rather have somebody listen to an hour of Tony Robbins and then do role play. So now you're pumped up and motivated. Doesn't matter what happens for the rest of the day. Somebody can hang up on you and you're like, I'm still pumped up from self-help. But then I think 2 hours a day of previewing is crucial. I think you should know your inventory better than your buyers and sellers. If you know your inventory, if you're working with buyers, you can close them, show less houses, and work with buyers more efficiently. If you preview property 2 hours a day, you can work with the sellers because oh yeah, I've seen those 4 houses of these comps, and this is why this one sucked. You know your inventory. It's like going to a car dealership and saying, oh, does that I'm looking at my BMW, does that BMW have run flat tires? And if the car salesman goes, I don't know, let me get back to you, that's not a good feeling, right? So I'd rather say, yeah, it does. As a matter of fact, they're guaranteed for a year, and they got this and that, and you can stick them, they're Pirellis, and you can go 150 miles an hour around a turn. That's the kind of person I want to talk to, right? So that's important. So then 2 hours a day of prospecting. 2 hours a day is just enough to where if you go over 2 hours, most real estate agents will combust. They'll probably die and need to go to the hospital. But 2 hours a day is enough to make $1 million a year in real estate. And that's pretty cool. And then an hour a day of follow-up. Follow-up is different than prospecting, obviously, because if you followed up with your prospects every day, then you would eventually run out of a pipeline. So follow-up is people you've already prospected as new people. And then after that, appointments, right? And that's what an agent, that's a great podcast of mine on the Real Estate Marketing Show, is what should I do all day as a real estate agent? And that's one of my favorites. And I've changed lives and careers because of that. Because now an agent wakes up in the morning, they go, oh, I guess I know what to do today. So that's kind of cool.
So you mentioned a podcast. Which podcast was that?
realestatemarketingshow.com. realestatemarketingshow.com.
How long have you been doing that?
A few years now. There's only maybe 50 of them, but they're very real, raw, and impactful, and they make huge differences. It was voted one of the top 5 real estate podcasts in the country. We get about 4,000 downloads a month. So everything from mindset to for sale by owner training to online lead conversion training, NLP, I mean, you name it, it's on there. So it's everything an agent needs to really succeed.
How important is role play?
It's very important, and I think at least a couple hours a week is crucial. If you practice on your clients, you have to work for years in the business to be good. If you practice with colleagues nationally, you can be good much faster. So if you practice the for sale by owner role play 100 times within a 30-day period and 100 times within a 30-year period, that's a big difference. So now when I call up a for sale by owner, I can get in the door instantly. Otherwise, it would take me a lot of stumbles, a lot of failures. And I don't mind failing forward, and you have to fail in the business sometimes. But if you fail because you didn't prepare, that's different. And that's not fair to even the for sale by owner, because you're wasting their time. But if you know what to do and you know what to say, you can get right in the door, get down to business, get a listing, and you're good to go.
Last question, and we'll get out of here. Who's been your biggest influence?
Agent-wise or trainer-wise?
Just real estate-wise. Who's been your biggest influence in real estate? Someone who got you started. Maybe it's been recent. I mean, who's been, you feel like has really kind of got you to your success level? It
wouldn't be fair if I named one, because there's probably 5 that are all just as important to me, and I'll kind of go down the list.
Sure, that's fine.
Mike Ferry being number 1, Craig Proctor being number 2, Daniel Penley being number 3, Verl Workman being number 4, Joe Stump being number 5, and then I can go back to the days of even Walter Sanford, and Floyd Wickman, Tommy Hopkins. I think if you're not doing an event every 30 days, you're really missing out. Some sort of trainer, because you can pick and choose little tidbits out of every single one of them that could really change your business. I can go to Mike Ferry for 20 years, every event, I'm only going to learn so much. But when I go to, 10 different people's seminars about real estate, I learn different personality styles, I learn different marketing, I learn different branding. So I really get to know all my mentors too. Even David Knox is another one of them. Like, I'm friends with them. I have their cell phone numbers. I can call them at any time. Brian Buffini, those types of guys. I make an effort to be able to talk to them and understand them. And then of course there's a whole list of top producing agents from around the country, and most of them. And those are all my mentors. Those are my support system. And, I'm on the phone almost every day with somebody asking for help. How do you do this? How do you get through this challenge? How do you do this? And, I might know something that they know. We each trade talent. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think I don't even know how to say this efficiently, other than I have been a big admirer of you. You've been a big part of our success. Anytime I have something that I'm needing or I'm looking up, I go to your page for some inspiration. I go to something that you said. I've looked up different things, and through the years, it's been fun to get to know you, to understand you, and quite frankly, I love you, Mike. You're just a big fan. And so anyway, I'm grateful that you came over here to hang out. If there's some things that people have, I put your connection on here, how to connect with you on Facebook, and I hope others will dive into you, because you're a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just, it's all been a great fun. So I appreciate you hanging out, and I'm trailing you on some numbers, but I'm very competitive, and I want to catch you. So maybe one day, but anyway,
you'll be there before you know it, brother. You're doing amazing, and I appreciate you letting me into your world a little bit today. It means a lot, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and your team and your wife, and you guys are just killing it. So keep going, and anybody listening, if you're working with Rick closely, you're in very good hands, and you should be very proud of those connections that you have.
What would be one thing that you when you sign off or you do anything? What's your specialty to let people know that you'll be back with them again soon?
Wait, I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
When you're leaving somebody, what's the one thing that you always say, or you make somebody feel good? Do you have anything that just says, "Hey, listen, I'm always available"? What's your one go-to script for people?
Yeah, I just say, I don't care what it is. If you think I can help you, reach out. And would it offend you if I asked you for help someday? And they always say no, right? And that's what I do. And I connect with everybody that I care about on social media, and I nurture that relationship that way. And I'd be very, very, very genuine with people. And I try to find the good and the love in everybody. There's some people that you just can't love, but most people in this world are good. It doesn't matter what country, state, city. I would say 99% of the people are good and they mean well and they're, genuine. And then that 1% I try to avoid like the plague. Other than that, I love everybody.
Yep. Well, everybody loves you, Mike. Hey, thanks a bunch. And listen, go crush it and say hi to your family and team. And we'll be seeing you in Orlando here pretty soon.
All right, brother. Thanks again. Have a good day.
All right, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right, dude, man, go have a great one and stay out of trouble.
I will. You do the same. I'm going to try to figure out how to stop the screen recording.
Well, real quick, what can I do for you?
Nothing, man. Just keep being supportive. That's really, if you find any golden nuggets, let me in on it, and that would be amazing. Oh, shit. Oh. Deanna, will you come here real quick? I can't figure out how to stop the recording. It's still recording me.
Isn't it like I did this the other day?